If you're not sure where you are right now, let me tell you. You're on the Blue Recap channel. And I'm not telling you the movie title, so you'll jump into the comments to yell at us and ask for it, and we rack up more followers. Imagine you've got a wild superpower totally different from Marvel heroes. And no, not the power to see under clothes. It's a power that lets you turn anything you read into reality. And that's the story of our movie's hero, Morty. No, not that Morty is sitting with his wife, Risa, and his little daughter, Meggie, telling his infant daughter the story of Little Red Riding Hood. Honestly, not sure if his baby girl even understands anything. The point is, anything Morty says shows up in real life. 12 years later, we see Morty with his daughter Meggie, who's now grown up. We find out that Risa disappeared under mysterious circumstances. But it kind of seems like they've moved on, and honestly, no one really liked her anyway. The truth is, Risa vanished because of Morty. His supernatural power swapped her with one of the characters from a book. And ever since then, Morty's been trying to find her by searching through every book in the world. Morty takes Meggie and travels from library to library, always looking for a specific book, but he never manages to find it. Then one day, Morty walks into an old library and we discover he has another ability. He can actually hear the voices of the characters inside the books. While he's sitting there, he finally comes across the book Inkheart, the very one he's been searching for. Meanwhile, outside the library, Meggie's waiting for him when she meets a strange man named Dustfinger. Dustfinger tells her that he's known her and her father for a long time, though she doesn't remember him. Morty comes out, sees her talking to him, tells her to wait in the car, and then goes off with Dustfinger. Dustfinger asks Morty to fix the mistake he made 9 years ago and send him back into the book. Then we find out that Dustfinger actually came out of the same book, and he's terrified of Capricorn, the villain from that story, who also escaped and is now hunting him down. Dustfinger begs Morty to read from the book again so he can summon an army out of it to protect himself. But when Morty refuses, Dustfinger threatens him. So Morty throws him to the ground and runs away. Meggie, who's been standing nearby the whole time, hears a lot of what's going on. She asks her father to explain the secret behind that strange book, but he doesn't answer her. Instead, he decides to take her to her aunt's house in Italy, thinking the book's characters might start coming after them. They arrive at Aunt Eleanor's house. Eleanor's quite a handful, honestly. She keeps teasing Meggie and bad-mouthing her mother, saying she ran away and abandoned her. But Morty tells Meggie that her mom would never leave her by choice. She was taken away against her will. At night, Meggie sneaks into Eleanor's private library. The moment Eleanor sees her, she freaks out. She's terrified someone might damage her precious, rare books. But soon she realizes Meggie's actually well-read and cultured, so she calms down and decides to give her an old book that once belonged to her mother, telling her she can read it. Later that night, Morty is suddenly confronted by Dustfinger, who tells him he tried to warn him, but he wouldn't listen. So, out of spite, Dustfinger admits he went to Capricorn and told him where Morty was, in exchange for a promise to send him back into the book. Morty rushes straight to the library and finds Capricorn's henchmen, who have also come out of the book, attacking his daughter and her aunt. When Morty tries to play the hero, they grab him and take him down. As he fights back, one of them, named Basta, threatens to kill his daughter if he resists. In the end, they kidnap Morty, his daughter, and Eleanor, taking them all to Capricorn's castle. There, they see strange creatures, animals pulled straight out of the book, locked up in cages around them. That's when Morty finally decides to tell them, and us, what really happened 9 years ago, how the book swallowed Risa and replaced her with fictional characters, and how luckily Dustfinger was the one who saved them at the very last moment. After a while, we see Morty brought before Capricorn, who's standing there with another man that has the same supernatural ability as Morty. His name is Darius. But Darius has one small problem. He stutters and mispronounces words, so whenever he reads a character out of a book, they come out deformed or flawed. Like he tries to summon Rapunzel, but she shows up covered in tattoos. Capricorn then orders Morty to read from a book that contains gold inside it. Morty warns him that the book always takes something in return for whatever it gives. But of course, who cares, right? Suddenly, gold starts raining down from the sky, and along with it, a man named Farid appears, while one of Capricorn's guards vanishes into the book in his place. Then Dustfinger reminds Capricorn about their deal, to send him back into the story. But Capricorn just laughs in his face and throws the book straight into the fire. After a while, the guards throw them all back into the cell. Dustfinger sneaks off to the kitchen to treat his wounds, and that's when we get a surprise. Reza is there, chained up and working as a servant in the castle. We find out that Darius was the one who read her out of the book, but because of his speech problem, she came out with a small defect. She can't speak. Later, Dustfinger falls asleep and dreams about his wife, Roxanne, who's still trapped inside the book. She keeps calling his name, but he wakes up to find Reza tending to his wounds. Dustfinger wants to help her, and when she shows him a drawing of her husband and daughter, he suddenly realizes she's Morty's missing wife. He decides to help her escape. His pet steals the key to her chains and he sets her free, but he doesn't tell her that her family is right there in the castle. Meanwhile, Morty keeps brainstorming ways to fix everything with Meggie, Eleanor, and Farid, the boy who came out of the treasure story. Eventually, he decides the only solution is to find the author of the book, figuring the writer must have another copy somewhere. Dustfinger overhears them and offers to help, but still keeps it secret that Reza is inside the castle. He hands Morty a book and asks him to read a passage about storms so that Morty can summon a huge storm to distract the guards. At the same time, Reza escapes from the castle, but she falls into a pit and I can't get out. And just her luck, she sees her family right in front of her, but she can't call out to them. After a while, we see Morty and the family in the town where the book's author lives, but Eleanor decides to leave them and head back home. Dustfinger and Farid also refuse to go with Morty and Meggie to meet the author. Morty and Meggie arrive at the author's house, Finoglio. After Morty tells him what happened, he doesn't believe a word. So, Morty decides to show him himself. He takes him to where Dustfinger is performing with fire in the street, exactly like he wrote in his book. And that's when Finoglio believes him. Finoglio brings them back to his place, and they search for the book until he finally finds the original copy. Dustfinger is overjoyed and asks Morty to finally send him back into the book, but Morty refuses, saying he won't do it until he brings his wife back first. That's when Dustfinger confesses that Reza actually did come out of the book and has been in Capricorn's castle all along. Morty gets furious at him for hiding the truth this whole time. He decides to leave Meggie with Finoglio for her safety, and then heads off with Dustfinger to finish what they started. That night, we see Meggie reading a book, and suddenly everything she reads starts coming true. Turns out she has the exact same power as her father. But right then, Basta shows up, breaks in, and kidnaps her along with Finoglio. Meanwhile, Morty finds out that his wife Reza has lost her voice. On their way to rescue her, he and Dustfinger discover Farid hiding in the trunk of the car. So, they take him along on their mission. Morty and the guys stake out the castle from a distance to rescue Reza. After that, they come up with a plan and head straight for the castle. The three of them make it to the castle and move across the rooftops, but the guards notice and start chasing them. Dustfinger and Farid hide while Morty keeps going until he reaches Reza's room, only to find she's not there. The guards capture Dustfinger, but Farid escapes and runs to warn Morty. As soon as Dustfinger is brought inside the castle, he discovers that Reza has been caught and is hanging from the ceiling. Meanwhile, Capricorn has Meggie captive and orders her to pull things out of the book. She tells him that's impossible because he burned the book. But then Capricorn shocks her. He shows her a copy of the book he's secretly kept all along and orders her to summon the shadow from it so he can use it to control the world. Meggie refuses, so he takes her to see her mother and threatens to kill her if Meggie doesn't do what he says. Meanwhile, Morty is watching everything unfold from the shadows. While Meggie is locked up with Finoglio, he tells her that he can rewrite the story's ending so that the shadow will destroy Capricorn instead. A little later, when the guard brings food to Meggie, Dustfinger sends his pet to steal the keys and uses them to free himself. He rushes straight to Morty to warn him about everything, and about Capricorn's evil plan. Back in the cell, Finoglio is busy writing a new ending for the book, but he doesn't get the chance to tell Meggie what it is, because the guards come and drag her out to fulfill Capricorn's orders. At the same time, Morty and the others agree to set the castle on fire to distract the guards, so they can rescue Meggie at that moment. Meggie is getting ready for the grand ceremony to summon the shadow, and everyone is cheering for her. Up above, her mother and Finoglio are locked in a cell in the ceiling. We also find out that Eleanor has returned to the castle to help them, working together with Darius. Meggie begins reading from the book while Morty and the others start spreading gasoline all over the castle. Finoglio uses one of the dogs to deliver the new ending he wrote to Meggie. Meanwhile, Dustfinger and Farid set the castle on fire, but Meggie has already summoned the shadow from the book, and it begins to spread everywhere. A horrifying dark creature attacking everyone in sight. But Meggie quickly grabs the page the dog brought her and starts reading the new ending. The new ending says that the shadow turns against Capricorn and attacks him to kill him. Meanwhile, Eleanor frees all the creatures from their cages, and they start attacking the guards. When Morty realizes that the new ending still hasn't made the shadow disappear, he throws Meggie a pen and tells her to write her own ending. Meggie quickly writes her own version, where all the fictional characters return to the book, and Capricorn and his guards are destroyed. And just like that, all the creatures and characters vanish from the real world and go back into the story. And to top it off, Finoglio's wish comes true. He gets pulled into the magical world of his own book. In the end, Morty is finally reunited with his wife and daughter. But unfortunately, Dustfinger and Farid don't return to their story. They realize that Morty doesn't want to take any more risks. He just wants to keep his wife safe by his side. So the two of them decide to continue their journey, hoping to find someone else who can send them back. But then Morty shows up, reminding Dustfinger of his promise to help him return home. He reads from the book once more, and finally sends Dustfinger back into the story, reuniting him with his beloved Roxanne. As for Farid, he says, "I was a thief in that story, and honestly, I don't want to go back there." And that's how our movie comes to an end.